there's been an important notification from UIDAI on introduction of virtual ID as well as eKYC. What do you make of this? What ramifications will this have from a privacy point of view for an individual?
I think this is a very significant announcement by the UIDAI, and in some sense it really makes the case against it go away, because it provides 2 or 3 very important features. First is that everybody can now create a virtual ID which is attached to the Aadhaar number, and they can use that in all public places where they give the Aadhaar number. So they never have to give their original Aadhaar number, they can give this virtual ID which they can keep changing. So that means this whole issue of you have to give Aadhaar number everywhere goes away because you're giving the virtual ID. Second thing is, unless allowed by law, they're going to make sure that private companies and all will not get the full KYC but only get a limited KYC without the Aadhaar number. So they'll get a tokenized number but not the real number. So that means the issue of Aadhaar number being stored in many databases also goes away. So this is a very, very significant thing, and I think this is a great step forward. This was an idea which we had contemplated in 2010, but now I think at that time it was a little ahead of its time, but now it's a great thing, and I think it makes a huge difference. And I think it really eliminates all the arguments against Aadhaar.
Right. Just to understand, sir, there is confusion going around. Some people are saying, is this some new ID to replace Aadhaar number? It's an extra layer of security on top of your Aadhaar number, which only I can generate as an Aadhaar holder.
The virtual ID part of it. For example, if my Aadhaar number is 123, I generate 456 as my virtual ID. So wherever somebody says enter your Aadhaar number, I'll enter 456. I'll not enter my original 123.
Right.
After some time, if I feel that I need to change it, I can change 456 to 789. From there on, I enter 789 wherever I want. So I can keep changing my virtual ID, and it's my ID, it's nobody else's.
Right.
So that means I don't have to give my Aadhaar number anywhere if I want to use this feature.
Right. And so this I can generate how many ever times I can revoke
At
it?
any time there's only one number, but you can keep upgrading it or revoking it and creating a new one.
Right. So this certainly addresses a lot of concerns from an individual privacy perspective. The larger question people are asking is, but what about the security of the Aadhaar database? Because there's a central database, then they have partnered with states, so they also have database.
I think if you look at the whole architecture, the way packets are encrypted and sent and so on, there's a lot of security built in. In the recent episode which caused a lot of confusion, it was really that there was a privileged login which was given to somebody else.
Correct.
And to be able to use that, you need to have an Aadhaar number to use it. You can't randomly poll the system. I mean, the Aadhaar is a 12-digit number which generates 100 billion combinations. Okay, and we only have 1 billion Aadhaar numbers. So only 1 out of 100 numbers in that possible numbers is used. So it's really impossible to really, it's not that this whole exaggeration which is going on. It was a few people could at best have been this thing, and I think that was caught immediately and stopped. This was not it was a privileged login being misused.
What can the UIDAI do to ensure this doesn't happen? I mean, shouldn't they have had biometric access for the person operating the login?
See, the thing is, it's always a balance between giving customer service and on these things, right? I mean, there are billion Indians. Many of them are illiterate. They can't read their card. So they want to call up and get some details. Now, you can shut it off. There's no big deal. But then you may also be denying good service. So we have to always balance between convenience to an individual and these issues, so which they'll find the right balance.
Right. So these measures today do a lot from a privacy perspective, but in terms of addressing the problem of exclusion, which a lot of people are talking about, there have been cases where people are denied access to basic things because of the lack of Aadhaar. What do you think can be done in that respect?
First of all, today we have 119 crore people with Aadhaar. So the lack of Aadhaar is, maybe true 5 years back when there were only 20 million people with Aadhaar. Now that's not an issue. Second is that it is up to the application to deliver service, even if somebody does not have an Aadhaar or if the authentication fails. That is an application design feature. In fact, the Aadhaar law is very clear. You shouldn't deny anyone. You should make alternative arrangements. So it's really a design feature of the application as much. It's not an Aadhaar issue so much.
Right. Lastly, sir, one recurring criticism that people have is, this was a system designed by technocrat. So initially it was very transparent. They used to put up everything. But increasingly, ethical hackers or security experts feel that Aadhaar UIDAI does not have a robust system to capture and respond to feedback, that they are constantly on the offensive or defensive. Do you think this entire issue could have been handled better, the way the FIR was filed?
No, I think there's a need to move forward. I think the fact of the matter is Aadhaar is here to stay. 119 crore people have Aadhaar. 550 million people have linked their Aadhaar bank accounts. 95,000 crores has been transferred into DBT accounts. Crores of people have opened bank accounts with eKYC. So this is here to stay. So I think rather than getting into an antagonistic view, the people who have views on Aadhaar should be constructive and work with the system.
But their issue is the system is not listening to them.
It works both ways. If you are just taking a negative view and not a constructive view, then you also have other reactions. I think everybody has to now say, okay, now Aadhaar is here to stay. I'm very confident that the Supreme Court will uphold Aadhaar under the fundamental right to privacy, because they have said that it has to be proportional. There has to be a law. The use of the abrogation of privacy should be proportional and reasonable, and it meets the test. So I'm very, very confident that the Supreme Court will. After that, what else is there?
No, that's what I wanted to ask. All this is coming also ahead of that crucial Supreme.
100%. There is a orchestrated campaign to see how Aadhaar can be maligned in view of the Supreme Court. Absolutely.
So you think this is related to that? But do you think it could have any bearing on the constitutional?
No, because I think we have a fine and very sensible Supreme Court. I mean, the Supreme Court's judgment on privacy is outstanding. They've laid a very conceptual framework under what conditions that the government can abrogate privacy. They have given 4 reasons: revenue protection, national security, criminal or social welfare benefits. So I think the Aadhaar will completely pass the test with flying colors.
Thank you so much for talking to us, sir. Thank you so much.